Good evening, greetings, and welcome. This is Ron McNeil, your brother and your friend, coming at you again as a health consultant, if you will. Coming at you to tell you something that you may not know, right? You may not know the things I know that I can help you be a better you. There's too many people that are sick. And the sad thing about sickness is that most people think that it's something that's natural. So I'm entitled as How to Be What? Healthy. That's right, the title of this subject matter is How to Be Healthy. Anyway, back to my point. Being sick, or getting sick, if you will, with many, if not most, is a normal occurrence. As a matter of fact, it's supposed to happen. You're supposed to get sick. Almost everybody that you come in contact with has this fundamental belief that as long as you live, you're going to get sick. Now, don't get me wrong. You lived enough time, you've been around the block of life enough. Yeah, you're going to catch a cold and, fall and scrape your elbow. And eat something you shouldn't eat and get a headache, for example, right? Yeah, those things I will agree, those things are normal in this modern time. That's normal. But when I talk about getting sick, right? And when it's your time, as people love to reinforce. I question that line of logic. Because when people get sick, it's almost invariably because lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? Lifestyle. People get sick because of the things they do to bring about, for the most part, sickness. In this modern time, one of the freest acts that we have, with all people, particularly black folks, is that you can go to the store or go out in your garden, if you got one, or somebody else's garden, grab something to eat, but particularly go to the store. Most people go to the store, you're hungry, what y'all want to eat? We go into these certain restaurants, right? We go into the store to buy certain foods, and go home and prepare those foods. And we just eat and live. And many of us are not aware that how to be healthy is almost invariably about the things you do, like getting adequate sleep, getting some type of exercise, having a healthy mental diet where you're positive and optimistic, expecting the best out of life. But the main idea with health, other than you avoiding cigarettes and alcohol and recreational drugs, other than those things that are abnormal and deviant, is eating the right foods for your genetic makeup. Most people, hear me, eat what they want to eat, regardless of how it makes them feel at the end of the meal. If you're eating that type of food that makes you feel good and is delicious to you, unfortunately, what a distorted belief that you're going to die anyway and die from something. So it cannot be the food that you're eating. You know what I'm saying? Never is this so-called victim looking at him or herself. If I'm sick from a disorder that these people, these experts, the so-called experts, and I say that with optimism about so-called experts. You see, they can't figure out about this virus anything. If you make an argument, that's because encroachment of animals are coming closer to human interaction. They're interacting with humans, and they're bringing their viruses and their bacteria with us. Well, if you're logical and a master of reason, if you will, why would you tear up their land and put a strip mall there and force them to come in with animals, where the humans are at? That's why most people, every day you wake up, there's a coon, there's a possum, there's a rabbit, there's a deer, there's a coyote, there's perhaps a wolf or a mountain lion that you're hearing about more and more because all the land that we were using, that they were using, we took that over. But back to my point, you wake up, you go to the store, you cook this food, you eat it, you like the way it tastes, right? And then, guess what? It makes you sick, right? And you don't look at you just feel that I'm a victim. I'm a victim. But if you look hard at the situation, you are a victim, a self-imposed victim, because you ate this food that's absolutely no good for your genetic makeup, your biochemistry. It's bad for you. Yet you continue to eat it because when you eat it, it tastes good and it makes you feel good. And you make the argument, well, the argument is I'm going to die anyway from something, so it can't be the food. That's the most deceptive, misleading thought that we probably have in this 21st century amongst all walks of life, not just black folks. Almost all people have a fundamental belief that the things they eat have absolutely nothing to do with their well-being, when in fact it has everything to do with your well-being. It's true, you are what you eat, and you're supposed to eat to live and not live to eat. One of the ways to be healthy, how to be healthy if you will, that those of us who have studied natural health, right? We understand one of the ways to be healthy is to mimic the caveman and the cave woman. You say, what I mean, Ron? A caveman was in tune with nature. He wasn't able to go to McDonald's or Kentucky, right, to get some food. He wasn't able to sit home in the air conditioner, relax, and prop up and look at cable TV. None of that. The caveman and the cave woman had to walk all day, 20, 30, 40, 50 miles a day. They had to eat from the land, vegetables, fruits, nuts, and seeds, and whenever they stumbled across a squirrel or a coon or a possum or a deer or some animal, they was able to knock it upside his head, pluck it of his fur, cook it and eat it. That was the most natural way that human beings stayed healthy. The science tells us that the caveman and the cave woman were the most healthiest people on earth. We deviated away from that, a major deviation from that to now. Now we just go and eat foods that we know that make us feel good after we finish eating it. They taste good on one hand, and they make us feel good because many foods promote serotonin and dopamine and norepinephrine. Those are neurotransmitters that you have in your brain, and the foods stimulate that. Like for example, I eat some turkey, or you eat turkey. Many people get sleepy, after eating turkey, right? Because it's high in what? The amino acid tryptophan. And what does tryptophan do? And the body is converted to serotonin. That relaxes you. That hormone relaxes you. And then after a while, that serotonin is converted to what? Melatonin. That's the wake-sleep cycle hormone that puts you right to sleep. And I know that when we eat certain foods, it relaxes us, makes us feel good. But the end result of it, after a while, a few hours or a day or less, we eat this food, we're bloated, sluggish, constipated, irritated, frustrated, not to mention we gain weight and messed up our physical appearance, our skin and hair is broken out. That is your body telling you, this ain't for me. This steak ain't for me, for example. The rib tips are not for me. The crackers, the cookies, the pop, the chip, the ice cream, the cake, the donut, and particularly anybody that has a diabetic gene. Almost every human being I come. Now, you know what? It doesn't matter who you are, because you are affected by these GMOs, genetically modified organism foods that we eat. They're high in artificial flavors, artificial colors, preservatives, steroids, hormones, and chemicals, pesticides, insecticides. That's what you're eating every day. And you wonder why your kidneys, your liver, your spleen, your gallbladder, your pancreas, your heart, your blood vessels, your brain, all your body parts are just broken down and they're not working right because you're way far away from mimicking the caveman and cave woman's diet of basically plant foods with a little meat. Plant foods, right, with the healthy protein on there and the healthy fat, vegetables, some fruit, fresh air and water, and some movement. Those things bring about wellness and health. Anything away from that, McDonald's and Burger King, and I'm not just knocking those restaurants because it's all right to go to McDonald's and Burger King sometimes. If you got a diabetic gene, guess what? You should go sometimes. Now, you define what sometimes is. Me, I call it a cheat meal. Me and my wife, we have a cheat meal. Hey, let's go ahead and get this pizza, for example. I love to go to Luminatus once or twice a month. I don't care, rich or poor, got nothing to do with money. Once or twice a month, I want that Luminatus. Extra large, thin crust, sausage and cheese. I want that. Then I want me a little cookies. I might have these little lacy cookies or just some cookie sweet. But I'm going to have that 12, 15 times a year or less. That's it, a year. So that means, what am I eating every day? You say, Ron, what do you eat? Grass-fed beef, organic chicken, fish, wild caught fish, bucket of vegetables, some fruit, nuts and seeds, beans. That's it. And so water and be happy. A protein drink, green drink. But as far as me getting up, saying to myself, I'm hungry, right? And just going to get something that I know that's detrimental, not counterproductive and detrimental to my well-being, I'm not about to do that. So that's why on Barking on 60 years old, I like, Ron, you can run all day, work all day, work out, you ain't overweight, you feel good, look good, certainly to yourself. Why? Is it magic? No, it's not magic. I decided to take the high road where you have some self-discipline and you understand you cannot do everything you want to do when it comes to health and nutrition, when it comes to life in general. But in this case, with this subject matter, how to be healthy, when it comes to health and well-being. There's no way in the world I'm going to sit down and say, you know what, I want some, some smothered pork chops, some rice, macaroni and cheese, and a couple 16 ounce, 20 ounce pop. And then after I finish eating that, I want a couple slices of cake. And then eat something like that, let's say for 3-4 days. Particularly when you get a diabetic gene. You know, when you eat those foods, you raise your glucose levels up, right? Glucose is blood sugar, right? And when your glucose goes up, guess what happens? Your pancreas secretes the hormone insulin. Insulin goes up. Insulin's job is to take sugar out of your bloodstream, right? And put it in the cells of your body so you can have energy and power your body. Well, with diabetics, guess what? That rarely happens. So when that sugar's in your bloodstream, it wreaks havoc. Just imagine you got a little Pac-Man running around in your blood vessels and your artery walls and your organs. But this time the Pac-Man got a hacksaw and he's just chopping up your artery walls and your organs, especially your spleen, your liver, your kidney, your pancreas, gallbladder, your heart, your brain, capillaries, veins, artery walls, all day. And then you wonder why your blood pressure's up, because usually when people are diabetic, what they get? They usually get metabolic disorders. You got high blood pressure, which is hypertension, right? High blood sugar, which is basically type 2 diabetes, insulin resistant, glucose intolerance, all the same thing. Something that will kill you. And you get high triglycerides. The word triglyceride is fat. Your blood fats are high. And what's that? Plaque. They call that plaque. That plaque is fat inside your blood vessels. And you're going right in and just join, and it's called occlusion, where you're blocking the flow of blood in your body. And when that blockage of blood flow, then you run the risk of heart attack, stroke, gangrene. Because the further thing from your heart is what? Your hands and your feet. And that's why a lot of people get gangrene, a lack of oxygen and death of oxygen and death of the tissues, the definition of gangrene. And now you know, they cut your hands, your feet, arms out. You got erectile dysfunction, it ain't working. You're not getting no blood down there, so you're not getting none. Don't even dream about it. You can hope you're going to get it, but ain't nothing going to happen. Because, you know what you decided? You decided, I'm going to get that. It's not just pork chop, because let me say, the pork chop is good for you. An actual pork chop, because that's your other white meat. That's very healthy for you. But you about know what I'm talking about. When you're going to get you some greasy, GMO type food, some cheap TV dinner type food, cookies, donuts, chips, ice cream, cake, muffins, rolls, some bologna, salami, a piece of cheap meat, French fries, ice cream, pop, but you eating those foods all the time, and you're getting older while you're eating those foods. So that metabolism ain't working like it used to work. The energy levels ain't working like it used to work. And remember, your thyroid is another hormone that's affected by diabetes too. If you have a diabetes or diabetic gene, because it's the same thing. They use terms like insulin resistant, glucose intolerant, or certainly the most deceptive term is pre-diabetes. Ain't no such as pre-diabetes. You know what it is? It's diabetes. And greater still, let me give you some sense of hope. When I use the term diabetes, I'm using for you, the listener, can say, well, Ron, I know what you're saying. I can relate to you, because I went to the doctor the other day, and he said, man, your blood sugar was just off the chain, just too high, 300, 500, something like that. No. Actually, diabetes is something they term that's been around for millenniums, if you will. The problem is, the better definition would be, when I eat something bad, I get sick. And when I don't eat those foods, the first thing that happens, I don't have those symptoms. Okay? And when I don't have those symptoms, after a while, guess what? I don't have that so-called disorder. So to play it all the way safe, that when you eat those type of foods, you're going to be sick. And when you don't eat those type of foods, you're going to be healthy. The odds are with you that you took this high road to self-preservation and health and wellness and say, hey, better to be healthy than sick. And if I have to discipline myself, if I have to say, hey, I'm going to avoid this pot pie I really wanted and this and that, and I'm going to do this to be healthy, that's what I'm going to do. And remember, when you're eating healthy, you ain't got to all the food ain't nasty. Most of the food is delicious. It's absolutely delicious. Now, I can't say get you some guacamole. I love guacamole. I love that avocado and mix it with cilantro. What is it? Cilantro, onions, tomatoes, garlic. Some people have squeeze some lemon on it, or lime, or some salt and pepper, which is your healthy fat that has an amazing high level of fiber in it, and fiber helps stop it blocks the spikes in blood sugar. But my children, you put some doggone avocados in their face, it's World War III. The same with me. I personally do not like mayonnaise. I don't want to see it. I'm traumatized. My grandmama said, you're going to eat that sandwich right there. And she done sprayed it with all kind of mayonnaise. I said, oh my God. So PTSD is definitely right there with me on that. So that's why I want to be careful when I say you should have this. No, you should have something healthy. You want to be healthy? Eat something healthy. Find out what's healthy. Here's a foundation. Fruit and vegetables. Very little fruit. Lots of veggies. Nuts and seeds. Healthy, organic, non-GMO, wild-crafted meat. Like good fish. When they say wild-crafted. If you can afford it. Because some of the foods, certainly on Whole Foods, I saw some salmon for $49.99. I was like, wow, if you imagine you had a family of 7, 8 people, and everybody was eating, had a hearty appetite. Ooh, my goodness, you have to be rich. But certainly you can get some grass-fed beef. They have a good price at all these $5 and something. You can get plenty of beans because they're high in fiber to stop the spikes in blood sugar and get you full, because fiber is the key. One of the keys. And you certainly get you some healthy fat, from your extra virgin olive oil, butter, which is and certainly coconut oil, because coconut oil is part of that MCT, that's medium chain triglycerides, those healthy fats, and CLA, conjugated linoleic acid, is part of those coconut oils and those butters, like a regular butter, is something that I strongly recommend. Now, margarine, no good for you. Vegetable oils, the most deceptive term in nutrition. You think vegetable oil is good. No, sunflower oil is no good. Safflower oil is no good. Soybean oil is no good. Canola oil is no good. Okay? So the oils you want to stick with are the three, as I mentioned. Butter, that's number one, and margarine is no good. Butter is one that I recommend, butter. Coconut oils, two. They have MCT oil, like I said, medium chain triglyceride. It's kind of pricey, if you will, $20, $30. It's a good supplement to put in your body to keep healthy fats in you and gives you energy to burn bad fat. So I recommend that. And most definitely extra virgin olive oil. Now they do have some avocado oils. I saw it at Aldi's. You can get that. But the butters, yes. And then another fact that's actually good, they found out that lard from chicken fat and beef tallow, I know they sell it at Wholes for like 12, 13, 14 $14 for only like, I think it's 12, 16 ounces. But they found out that those lard was loaded with monosaturated fat. So you got three types of fat. You got saturated fat, monosaturated fat, and polyunsaturated fat. So those monosaturated fats are heart healthy. It's in the same family as avocados and extra virgin olive oil. Good for you. Saturated fats, you do need some. That's the skin on the chicken. That's the white part in the beef and the pork. You do need some of that. Now, polyunsaturated fats like your omega-3s from your fish oil, you most definitely need a fish oil. You most definitely need a flaxseed oil. You most definitely need a hemp oil, black currant oil, evening primrose oil, borage oil, and that black seed oil. Those are some healthy fats that I recommend too that you can have. And then certainly, like I said, any vegetable you can think of, any vegetable, you can get a blender and make you some green drinks and some vegetable drinks, spice it up a little bit or make it tasty, because sometimes you gotta add a little palatability in there, maybe a tad of orange juice. And you don't want to mess with orange juice or fruit that much, because remember, when you're diabetic, one of the problems is this. A piece of fruit has basically 50% glucose, which is sugar, fruit sugar that is. Another part is fruit sugar, which is fructose. So fructose, however you want to call it, pronounce it if you will. The problem is the liver got to try to break down that fructose. And when you're giving your liver too much of that fructose or fructose, right? Particularly if you're cheating on high fructose corn syrup, the stuff that's in pop, the artificial cane, like, what's that crap got in there? Aspartame and aspartame, something like that, and saccharin and that type of stuff. Those are the type of stuff that causes NAFLD. What's that? Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. You got the same disease as somebody turning at the bottom. Then you end up with cirrhosis like them. They got cirrhosis from drinking liquor. You got cirrhosis from eating too much fructose. And your poor little liver to weigh about 3 to 5 pounds, it cannot handle that. Especially if you're obese and you got type 2, as they call it, diabetes. And the word for diabetes digestive and kidney disorder. That's the true term for that. It's not just diabetes. But like I said earlier, the main idea is you ain't got nothing when you're eating the right foods for your genetic makeup. When you eat foods for your chemical makeup, you don't have that drama. So anyway, like I said, you want to eat those foods and you form a diet based off that. Yeah, you can have some bacon sometime. Definitely can have eggs. When you get eggs, get a cage-free egg. Cage-free, organic, go for that. You can have that all day. The food choice is limited because remember, the dirt, the soil in the ground ain't no more good. And all the foods they're making are poison and toxic. And the government knows that the foods you eat at some point gonna make you sick. They got scientists, they figure out, they say, hey, if we give so-and-so this is a case study, it's easy to figure out. I'm gonna give everybody can and see what happens. You don't just mess your teeth up. Remember, sugar raises your blood pressure up and to tear up your artery walls, especially if you got a diabetic gene. Yeah, that causes occlusion. And then the worst thing about it, when it messes with your hormones like insulin, that drops a man's testosterone. And when your testosterone gone, brothers and sisters, you gone. You're no longer a man, okay? And when her estrogen levels are too high, because insulin is too high and it destroys her estrogen levels, she's no longer a woman. So low libido for a woman and erectile dysfunction for a man, you got that coming. Why? Because you want to have some Starbursts and Skittles and stuff, especially my age. You think about all the now ladies you had back in the 70s and 80s, all that junk was Baby Ruth. I love. Me and my wife were talking about it. I said, babe, what you used to? I used to like Baby Ruth. I like Snickers and I like Paydays. And so we was in nostalgia, going down memory lane. It's fun. And I said, look, our teeth right now, you know what I mean? I said, that's why we messed up right now, because look at the stuff we ate. And thank God we came to some realization that, you know what? It was fun then. You can't have it now, even if it's free. If it's free. If somebody would have gave you a bucket of food that you know is no good for you, give it away unless you're dying. Now, if you're homeless and starving, then you need that. But if you're not in that state, you're not in that financial crushing state, you cannot have those type of foods and expect to be healthy. You cannot have that. But back to the government, like I said, they'll give you foods, they'll test that, and they say, hey, let's give us these foods. And they know that if you eat those foods, you're going to be sick. And the thing is, you trust them and you just go about eating it, as opposed to trusting in your own self, because your mind and body, or God, if you will speak to you and say, hey, this ain't no good for me. So you running up trying to get you a taco real quick, or burrito, or gyro, or chicken sandwich, or hamburger from one of them places with a fry and a pop, and eating that regularly, and you think you're going to be healthy, and then you sitting down on your butt looking at TV and cable all day, or flipping through your phone for hours, getting all that blue light and radiation and other chemicals that you're being exposed to constantly, you won't be healthy. And then you won't be able to manage your time right, because you won't take the time out to exercise. The exercise becomes imperative. In modern time, you got to get off your butt and do something. You ain't got to be no he-man or she-woman. Okay, you don't like weights, no problem. Go walk. That's the most natural, healthiest exercise known to mankind, walk. And you're able to do it. You're able to walk. They had a guy that from the George Floyd murder, from the racist murdering cops, he walked, I think he was down in Atlanta or Alabama somewhere. All I know, he walked up to Minneapolis, Minnesota. It was a 1,000-mile walk. It took him a month to do it. So when you think about, like when I trained people back in the day at my gym, you're able to do it. You can do way more than you think you can. You can do way, way more than you think you can. We just walk around the park. We do 1 mile, 3 miles, 5 miles, and 10 miles. You're doing, oh, that's too much. I can't walk. When you're not healthy, you can't even walk from that bathroom to the bedroom. When you're not healthy, you can't get off the chair and walk from 2 feet away, because you're about to die, because you stuffed your body with so much poison, so many chemicals for so long, and you just keep doing it. Close your eyes, running head forward right into a wall, and you won't break that vicious cycle. They done said it a million times. You keep doing something, the same thing, expecting a different result. That's insanity. It is. That's a straight up addiction. It's no more different than a person keeps smoking. They coughing profusely, but they smoking. That's an addiction. You keep eating that candy, because I know that when the dangers about blood sugar, like I said, the scientists discovered that as soon as you eat that junk and your insulin levels, see, insulin is a storage hormone. Once you eat a bucket of cookies or candy or cake or something, your blood sugar went up and your insulin levels went up. Insulin tells your body to hold fat and don't release fat, because it stores that fat. Because remember, your liver converted all that sugar to fat, and that's what they call your triglycerides of fat. And it got stuck all up in your cells. You just get bigger and bigger and bigger. I remember me and my buddy Carlos just passed. It's devastating, but nonetheless, I had ate some biscuits back in the early 80s at Popeyes after a contest. I'm gonna reward myself. I'm going to get me some biscuits, right? And as soon as I came back to his gym, he was like, damn, would you just finish eating a bucket of biscuits? I laughed about it, and I stayed on my mind. I said, wow, what would make a person, do that? Then, of course, we're all looking at DNA and RNA, and you're looking at your genetic makeup of your family. Like everybody in my family is damn diabetic. especially the ones that don't think they're diabetic, because you go to the doctor. I remember I went to the doctor